Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
John Riggio, architect, tennis player, better known as the Tennis Fox, something like that. We're going to get to that in just a bit. Excited you're back here to talk more about your lifelong career in tennis. I know you're also obviously an amazing architect as well. Many facets to this man. Recently just acknowledged in the magazine, which I hope he has to show. He has his own book. John, say hello today, Mr. Fox.
Yes. Hi. Yes, my name is John Riggio. I usually talk about my professional architect work. I also like to talk about stories about my tennis playing years ago when I was a pro tennis player. And today, I'm going to continue about some things about last time.
Sure.
So this one is really part 6. I noticed the last podcast was a little fuzzy on some areas.
Yes.
We do some of them, but I'm going to add information, make it really clear, and they'll really like it. So I think from the last time, just to really recap some things, was talking about my entertainment friend Liz. And this is because at Sutton East Tennis Center, I was a pro tennis player. There was my own tennis court there, my own tennis center just for me. I had a multi-million-dollar contract. And with my sponsors, there were also some other entertainers. So with some other entertainers around, they used to stop by. They used to make friends with some of them. And one entertainer that I was talking about was my friend Liz. And so Liz originally, she snuck into the tennis center. She did not, it wasn't even one of the entertainers really there. And that was really supposed to even visit me. Mm-hmm. But some interesting things happened. I think, for one, her getting caught one time getting into the tennis center made it where my sponsor confiscated her identification card, and her name was really Elizabeth Krasnowalker. And what happened with her story is, over some of the podcasts I had mentioned her name is Liz Dahl, but unfortunately that name has nothing to do with her real name. Mm-hmm. That name that she was using, unfortunately, came out of the strangest thing of her having some problems, that she was kidnapped, had to go into some kind of adult entertainment, and they gave her that name as part of a cult marriage. It was unbelievable stories. I just say because there were some problems we're going to talk about that were pretty serious and really sad, and it's sort of a little frustrating. The stories that happened with her. So what happened, as I'm playing tennis, I'm playing great, I'm winning big, I'm winning a lot of tournaments. My sponsor at the time is Gloria Vanderbilt. And of course, she's winning big, making great profits, coming out of bankruptcy. And so this was really big successes. But what happened over the next few months is I made some innocent friends. First one, my friend was Terry. Okay. So Terry is very nice. Made friends with her, met her over at her own group home apartment there in Manhattan. And then the story was jumping over to Liz, because Terry, we got caught meeting outside and they didn't want her to meet me anymore. And back then we didn't have cell phones. Very difficult to communicate, and I wasn't allowed to go to the group home. It had someone watching it. You're not allowed to just go there and ring on the doorbell and talk to someone. It was very frustrating and sad. It wasn't really funny. Mm-hmm. She was very upset about it. Terry is the one that was officially had the name Tia Ling in that industry, adult industry. So now Liz is my friend. I make friends with her. And then unfortunately, she really had some problems where she ended up not having a place to stay. So I paid for her to have a hotel room. Now, the hotel room scene that I was describing the last few podcasts, it started to involve another entertainment named Jaden Lee. She is another one who has her own kidnap story, which isn't funny. But she, in fact, I talked to her at the motel, and she asked for permission for me to stay there. She also was staying in the same hotel room. All of a sudden, she got kicked out of the group home, and she had to stay there. And of course, I let her stay there. I even asked my mother if she could stay over too at our house. my mother again turned her down too. I was a very frustrating situation at this time for me. My mother, who seems to like become like an identity theft to me at this time, acting very devilish, and I was really upset that now because this other one, Jaden Lee, needs to stay someplace too. So she stayed in the hotel room that I was paying for, which I didn't mind doing it. It was okay. I think the only discovery this time was a few things. One of them was Liz was a little protective, and this had to do with Gloria, my sponsor. She called Liz on her cell phone and told them her I'm not allowed to physically do anything with her.
Oh.
And this is the same story I was talking about in the previous podcast. I didn't know that in entertainment, someone could really control someone's personal life. That I'm not allowed to go out with her, meet her in person. And then whenever I tried to help Liz, it came down as I was being paternal patronizer, that I was somehow becoming like the parent. And obviously it wasn't true. This time the idea was really for her to maybe us getting married, which was becoming pretty serious. She was even using my name. I told her to get rid of that other name, doll, that it's not normal what's going on with that. So this thing with Jaden Lee at the time, so Jaden Lee, she is sort of happy. She says, we're friends and everything, and that was pretty good. And but things didn't really go that good. So things were moving very quickly. A lot of things were happening in a short time. She was there for a few days. Then I have the idea of going to Yale, and it is approved. What happens is this idea goes through her mother. The mother calls this whole thing with the cult kid. He comes down there, and what ends up happening is so unbelievable. He ends up going to Yale. He brings her with her. Now, what happens right before this is he comes over and tries to do a really sick thing that is, he gives her so much drugs somehow that he is not able to talk. So I talk to her on the phone. She calls me, and she starts talking this like a rant of like gibberish for like more than a half hour. So I tell her, okay, so call me back tomorrow, So she calls me back tomorrow, and what happens is she immediately says whatever she said was from them pushing some drugs on her. She has no idea what she told me. And she's a very nice, innocent person. Yeah. So it isn't strange. So that was strange. But what happened after this rolled into them. Particularly this guy goes up to Yale, goes onto the campus, goes to the admissions. And what's happening with the Yale admissions is very interesting. I was talking to them about Liz, and I was saying that they were having her use this name, Chi Ling, even though she does not own it. They were just letting her use it too.
Yeah.
And in fact, Yale checked up on that, and that's what they were telling me, that in fact, Terry owns the name. They were able to check up that on entertainment, which is very interesting. So this guy, Dog, goes there, and he goes on the campus, talks to the admissions, and they end up arresting him.
Oh my
gosh. They end up giving him some kind of violation. I think it was trespassing at least. And they were escorted off the campus. I talked to them about it, and a lot of the information came back through Liz. I don't know if they ever resolved their ticket at Yale.
Oh, wow.
They were probably supposed to go back to court.
Okay.
Explain what they were doing there, and pay a fee or something. And I don't know if they ever really paid the fee or anything. I don't know if they left an open violation. They were given a written violation, and they had to provide their identification. And I think so Liz a lot of times was using the name Doll, but she had no identification with that name. There was no official marriage at that time, which was an indication of really some kind of horror going on with her. And so amazingly, after they returned back from the Yale campus and they had the ticket, he went away. Then we're back to the other stories. Now we're back to the next one. I get a tip that something might happen to her. I tell her, and in fact, what happens is she calls the front desk, and they have someone, I think it was the local police, stop whoever it was that was going to attack her. So that is out of the way. Then the next one is from the other stories I said. Then she ends up getting hurt by a producer, ends up in a coma, goes back to the mother. And so I think at this point, what happened was I stayed in contact with Liz for a number of years on the phone, and we were still friends. And I think the resultant of this also was what I was saying, that I was penalized for this whole thing with Liz, with Terry, penalized in total 4 tournaments, which was equal to $400,000. In fact, my sponsors are hurting themselves. Maybe she'd make a minimum of $4 million profit on that or more. And this caused a big problem. So eventually I got over those penalties and things like that. And so what happened was, the next thing with this story is over the years, my entertainment Liz and me, we always were getting along. We were every time we were meeting, we were heading back to where we were getting married. And one thing which is interesting and sad about the entertainment story was somehow not only did she need permission to talk to me or me to talk to her in person, somehow they needed permission also to get married. And I think from the last time I had spoken, that this whole thing went even where I called the marriage bureau, and the idea was to get her married and then get rid of this problem with her with Dahl and her kidnap history and things like this, and clear it out somehow. And this became very difficult. Somehow things were against us. It wasn't really easy, even if you got married at that age, to clear any problems. I was doing things, trying to get a credit card over to her in her name and things like that. There was a lot of these little things that were going on. So what happened was, and then of course I had explained that her mother didn't like me, my mother didn't like her, my sponsors didn't like us together. The only thing people who liked us was when I called the Yale liked us, and I called the government about this, wondering what the problem is, and they do approve of marriage. So what was happening here with this whole thing with these marriage proposals and things was getting back to them wanting to get me married. And one person they really wanted me to marry instead of Liz was someone named Casey Ho. And Casey Ho is someone who right now became really big on blog lattes and Popflex. He is this designer and owner of this company. And so I saw her just recent years on Instagram. And I think the one thing about her story in particular is whenever I got to certain things with the entertainment and even another story I'll talk about in a few minutes, they wanted to match me with her. And I have a nice video I could just pull up here. Let me just get this. And what it is, it's just a picture I had copied from her blog. And let me just put it right on the thing here. Now this blog, it is public information. It's not a private photo. It's a photo that's right off of Instagram. So let me just share this with you. This was just publicly done. I just made a little quick copy from my cell phone. And let me just show this here. Okay, so this is just like a little clip from one of her blogs. This is just something, and this is in recent years. So I think Casey is very nice. I've known her through this whole thing with entertainment and tennis for many years. Just as many years as Liz. And so they always like to put me together with Casey. The only problem with Casey is I think she was assuming that I was recommending that I marry her. But it isn't true. I never recommended for me to marry her. And this started to come out years later at a networking party. What happened was I had my professional architect networking party in New York City. And there was some event that took place. Just for some reason, someone had brought some people there, and they had this idea of marrying some people together. And what happened is uh, they, in fact, put together, Liz was there. I proposed to Liz to get married in this. I think they did not know I even know anyone there. And she said yes, but unfortunately, her organizer said no. And this
Oh.
is an ongoing problem. So instead, her organizer gave me Casey Ho. So I think Casey Ho, when I talked to her again, who was really nice, I know her for a long time. She's a little taller than Liz, and they look very similar. Casey Ho was already a designer for Shen for many years. She used to go work at a desk, design clothes, and so that doesn't really say it on her bio. Let me just stop the share. But that's how I know her, and she is very smart and everything, and she's a beauty queen in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. And so when I'm talking to her after all these years at this time, we start to have a heated conversation. Mm-hmm. She is not so happy anymore. She's assuming that I recommended that we get married. And she already had a marriage from the very beginning. She told me she has this guy that they show in her blog that's already like her marriage. And I never said one time that we should get married or she's forced to marry me. She was always matched together with me. So what happened is we had a heated conversation finally, and it wasn't too good. And what happened is years later, since I'm always with these same people, I always see them around, if I go networking or someplace, I'm still with this same group of people. I always meet them. So I always see them around. I talk to them, and they're very nice. But what happened with her is the same kind of thing happened again a few times, where they started to put me and her together for a wedding. And she is assuming that I'm the one that is saying that we want to get married. And I unfortunately, this is something about it that she keeps accusing me that I'm the one who must have done it. And obviously, I said no. I had to explain. I'm 100%. I'm not the one who said that you are supposed to get married to me or recommended you to get married. She's very nice. I mean, if the situation was different, sure. She isn't a bad match. They're not wrong. She's very nice. But this whole thing culminated into some heated conversations. It started to get worse and worse with me. And what I did was I started to just calmly discuss with her the situation and started to say that, for one, of course, I'm really not the one who ever recommended that she come. And I know that she has this whole marriage on the side from when she was young. And I think she doesn't dislike me or anything. And but what we did was I decided with her that we should just become friends. The idea of this marriage is not my fault. And I think it was a little like a emotional type of thing that happened. And we did make friends. We decided, yes, okay, we're going to say we're really friends. And the whole thing with the marriage has no meaning. I have nothing to do with it. And I think this solved the problem with her. And she was no longer angry. Mm-hmm. She trusted what I'm saying, that they keep giving her, to me. And so things were very good finally in the end, that we made an agreement that we're friends and we're not either one at fault for this marriage matchmaking that was going on for so many years, like 20 years. So that, in fact, worked out very good. And she, in fact, this whole thing with the bio blogger lattes and the pop flex happened just right after that.
Okay.
So after that, she got into this whole thing, and which is pretty good. I was just by chance, I saw her name on there on the Instagram and saw what she's been doing recently. But so in the end, we made an agreement. She trusts me. We're friends, and that whole thing with the matchmaking, I did not initiate any of it, and she is happy about that. So I
Yeah.
think everything is pretty good. Otherwise, she's very nice to talk to. Everything went very good, and let's see what happened with this.
Hmm.
So I think what happened at the networking party with her after this heated conversation initially took place, which wasn't too good. The problem with Liz getting matched with this engineer in the professional networking with the VIP was really funny. They weren't a good match. What I did was they sent me someone else. They sent me another friend I already knew for so many years, was someone named Zoe Lee.
Okay.
Zoe Lee was another one who, very interesting. She paid her own money to get a stage name. The stage name originally was Lexington Steel.
Okay.
And so I already knew her too. And I talked to her, and she was sent to get a marriage instead. So, in fact, to solve the problem, I thought of this amazing idea of having her marry this engineer in the networking. So I went over to the organizer, and I told her the story to her that Zoe and the engineer are much better together in a marriage. And she looked at the situation and she agreed. So what she did is she bumped Liz off with the engineer and had Zoe go marry him instead.
Oh, wow.
And I looked over, and this marriage was going great. They were so happy. They waved over to me. This marriage was perfect for them. I could tell because I already know Zoe over the years from the tennis. And she and the engineer were perfect together. And they went for the marriage. Zoe was happy about this idea of getting married. She was a little upset. She didn't want to get left out. And so her meeting this engineer at this time worked very good. And Liz wasn't able to get over in there with at the networking party with the engineer anymore. So what happened after this point, I'm not really certain. But the whole thing with that whole thing was really absurd, and it didn't work out very good. But it was just pretty much interesting. I think the whole thing with putting Zoe together with this engineer was a very nice thing to do, and it was working to my advantage. And because I saw this whole thing, whoever the organizer was not really matching people very correctly or whatever she was doing. And this is right in the public, right in the I have to remember the name of this. This is a nightclub that was converted Catholic church. It's a really big place in Manhattan. They were going to close it, but I think they changed their mind in recent years and they kept it open. I have to really get the name of the location. It's a really big club right in the public with all hundreds of people right in the middle there. And so the VIP party always used to start when we were there like 7:00, especially there, no security, everything is good. And then right after that, the general public comes in and they fill the whole space up with people. And this is just something everyone was doing. The numbering party was pretty good. I was doing those for years. And I think that was really amazing. But that was just one thing to point out. Is also knowing some of these different people just by chance really was very interesting and solved some kind of problems. So I think from the last times, I was talking about some interesting things. I think one of them was, one thing about Liz was, unfortunately, I didn't want to say anything bad about her. But, when she was told to do things sometimes like go marry someone who isn't a good match or like not do anything with me, unfortunately they used to turn when she in fact wasn't there or she would leave the room, they would change sides and making fun of her, calling she's acting like a tinker. So and doing that is not perceived very good. Like she's not really doing the correct things in life. That's by doing that she's really losing, so it's not really that good. And that is one thing about her that we just pointed out, and I always tried to help her with all those different things so she wouldn't have problems. So what happened was, let me just get my list here. I was supposed to Yeah, so that whole thing with Liz, in fact, that was entertainment. It did culminate into this Las Vegas marriage that was mediated by our friend Melody DeMayo, who ran for the governor of Nevada. And but what happened there is, so that culminated to that. And in fact, I did get a call from Liz when I was over in Cleveland, just by chance, visiting my daughter at college. And she said a few nice things for a few
Aw.
seconds there. So that was happiness. And but I think that group seems to have split apart ever since the Las Vegas marriage. They have dispersed. I don't know what the status of them. And so I think from there, going to some basic tennis stories also was, I was just remembering years ago that when I was talking to the Japan sponsors, this is Mitsubishi, they're in Japan, and I used to call them and talk to them on the old-fashioned landline phone that they used to have in people's houses, old Bell Atlantic phones.
Yeah.
So I used to talk to them, and as I talked to them, some things were funny, and I used to laugh, right? So when I was laughing, they heard how I was laughing, making a certain kind of laugh. And for some reason, they started to have such a very interesting reaction. They wondered why they were saying something to me that sound like I'm a fox. And I think from my tennis playing, they also looking at my tennis playing, and they thought that maybe I was playing like a tennis fox.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
I was clueless why in Japan they care less about foxes or laughing like a fox. I had no idea what that was, but they were saying that somehow my tennis playing and my acting smart playing tennis and my laugh somehow was putting together that I was like a tennis fox.
Yeah.
And so years later, I went to Japan, and I was on this very nice tour, went to all different areas of Japan. And when I was there, they started to say a story that in Japan, in some areas, they had this problem with rats going all over the streets and people's houses, and they didn't know what to do. And it turns out that a fox knows how to really go and get rid of the rats.
Got it.
So in Japan, they have this idea of letting the foxes go all over the houses where people live and let them go and get rid of the rats. So that's why the people in Japan got used to this idea of knowing what a fox is all about. And when a fox laughs, he's like, they know the foxes laugh.
Wow.
And so when I was laughing...
I'm sorry, John, we're out of time again. I'm so sorry. This always happens. I have to pay attention more to the clock. Finish the story. Go ahead. Quick.
From my laugh and my tennis playing, they started to think I was really a tennis fox.
You are a tennis fox. John Riggio, architect. Google you, pro tennis player. You'll find his Facebook page and everything else we need to know. Thank you so much for the time, for the stories, and you are a legend. You are a fox. You're an architect, pro tennis player, and so much more. Thank you for being here. We always appreciate your time.
Hello, my name is John Riggio. I'm the CEO of John Riggio, RA Architect, LLC. I provide architect services in the New York City metropolitan area. That includes New York City, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. My areas are specifically Long Island, the 5 boroughs of New York City, Westchester, Yonkers. In New Jersey, it is North Jersey, Central Jersey, and South Jersey. In Philadelphia, the areas are the Philadelphia metropolitan area. You can find out more information about my company at www.johnriggio.com. That's spelled JOHNRIGGIO.com. And there you will find out a description of my work. It shows a portfolio, pictures of the different job types. And I also have my contact information there. It shows my business address. From there, you can contact me and we can discuss your project. First, we will make an initial consultation, and then from there, we will then go over designing your project and then constructing your project. So I hope to hear from you soon. Thank you. Bye.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Let's go inside the mind of a 10-year-old.
I should have worn those earrings today. I like those earrings. Gabby has those awesome earrings. I need to ask her where she got those, but that's just what she would want me to do. I'll have Michaela ask her for me.
Buckle up, Sarah.
Yeah, but then Michaela will be like, why don't you just ask her yourself? That's just like Michaela.
Sarah, buckle up.
Michaela's such a great name. I wish I was called Michaela. There's like a dozen Sarahs in my class.
Hey, we're not hitting the road until you buckle up, honey.
Oh yeah, seatbelt. I forget sometimes because my brain is like busy, you know? I wonder if there's pizza at school today.
Sometimes it can be tough to get through to your kids, but it's not impossible. Always make sure they're wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Remember, you have the keys, you have the power. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.